Basketball fans, welcome back. So this is a video that I've been thinking of making, and let me just put it out there so that you guys can go ahead and hear this from me. So the Eliud Owalo Foundation tournament, I remember I covered this, I talked about this tournament at length, but not at great length. And with the happenings that happened this past weekend right after the tournament, and looking at a few things that when are going on forward, especially with on matters Kenyan basketball, because I have not talked about Kenyan basketball in a minute, because I've been talking about the NBA, NBL, as you've been seeing on this channel, but I will balance out a few things, and I'll talk about a few things. Number one, we saw the cabinet secretary Eliud Owalo. He came in with his tournament through his foundation, and it was, I must say, the event was big and it was a success. Eliud Owalo was able to show what money can do to improve the sport. That if and only if you have money, you'll be able to implement and put together such a tournament, because that thing was not cheap, and I'm pretty sure he spent money on the millions to be able to do that and pull that off. So a week later, we are seeing at the end of the regular season, you're seeing as teams play their final games. I saw something in particular that was a bit funny. So with the current situation with the Kenya Basketball Federation financials, they were not even able to secure the Nyayo gym to be able to play the games. So you saw games happening in USIU, you saw games happening in the UN and other various places as teams finish off the regular season. And on Saturday morning, I saw the Ulinzi versus Eldonet's game, which actually caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that because I never knew that they would be able to play there to finish off the season. But all I'm just saying is the past weekend, it just showed me that the Federation doesn't have like the resources to be able to put together their league very well. And this is not even a bad thing, because not having money and having a plan to be able to obtain it, those are two different things that people have in mind when they're organizing sports. But we focus more on the Eliud Owalo tournament being much more of a success, but you don't look at the eventual effects of what happened. I remember when this tournament was initially, when it was announced, I was very skeptical of it, and I mentioned that KBF were being used for free content for only 3 days, and the amount of hype that was being used for marketing the event, it looked like it was like the KBF finals for a minute. I felt like it was only KBF finals, and it was only 12 teams were involved, on the top 6 on the Premier League and the top 6 on on the Premier League men's side, and top 6 the Premier League the women's side. So the other remaining teams on both the men's and women's side, Div 2, Div 1, all were told to kick rocks, and they did not partake in that tournament. And I just want to talk about the effects of such a tournament, because we saw a lot of money being splashed in. And those events, when they happen, they somewhat make 5 steps forward and 10 steps back. Because now you can't even ask for any resources to be put on basketball, because people will look at the Eliud Owalo Foundation, what they did, then they think that it has carried on and the federation is just going to move on well based on how it was covered. But that's not the case, because there's a downside of that, because majority of the people won't be able to fund the sport well. KBF were used for free content, and they gave it willingly and they were promised money at the end, which they got at the great cost of the future. I'm not saying the tournament was bad, but it painted a very bad light for the future. And here's why. When you have somebody coming in and spending all of that money and resources like that, there's a preconceived assumption that basketball has changed. Everything has changed. Now players will be able to are being set up well, and teams are going to succeed. But if you take a closer look, it's only the top teams that participated. Not all the teams participated. I'm not saying that every single team should have participated, but all I'm saying is you have put a small percentage of good basketball out there that will last for months. And people will keep on remembering that. And it's not a bad thing, but the downside of that is people outside will assume that that's how basketball is, and that's how KBF basketball is, and how it is. And that's not the case, because directly after that weekend, we saw the Nyayo gym was not available. We didn't see the Ulinzi Sports Complex being used for basketball. We saw other alternate venues being used, the likes of USIU, UON, courts that, okay, I can say USIU, they fixed it. It's a good court, but they're outdoor courts, and basketball is an indoor sport. And if you look at even the setup for the tournament, it was primarily focused on indoor. And honestly, this tournament has like bad effects and good effects. So the bad effects is what I'm talking about right now. And anyone who wants to go ahead and fund any activities carried out by the Kenya Basketball Federation will find it hard, because they must have money and achieve that standard. Because if they don't achieve that standard, it's going to be quite embarrassing. And that standard has been set too high that it potentially discourages any investor to come in, because they'll see that's how much money it's needed for you to be able to achieve a good product. And the way, if the CS left, even when he gave away the money, I'm not saying that the money is not good, but it gives a very false impression of what Kenyan basketball is, because people, when they look at the clips online, they will think that that is how Kenyan basketball is and how it continues to be, because the games are streamed live on multiple places. So a lot of people are looking like that. But will the playoffs look the same way? Because will we get the same coverage? No, because Homeboys was paid, or it was on a contract, and money has to exchange hands for you to be able to get a certain type of product like that, and equipment has to be involved for you to be able to get to that. So my point here is, this tournament did a bit harm. It did a lot of good, but also left some harm along the way. Because take a look at the playoffs. The playoffs are right around the corner, and they're going to happen. Will we get the same coverage? No. Will the Kenya Basketball Federation generate revenue in these games? No, not at that level that we thought that they did in the Eliud Owalo tournament. Because Eliud Owalo himself, even in multiple interviews, he came out and said, I'm just doing this to give back to the community. I love basketball, and he's just doing that he can't be able to promote the sport. But if you look at it closely, you'll see that he's promoting his own foundation, which is not bad through basketball, which is actually a good thing. But if you take a deeper look and you read in between the lines, you'll see that he has already gathered a lot of free content that he can use, and he has paid for it. I must say he has, removed a lot of money for it. And that's the content he'll use, and that's the report that he'll use to show that his foundation is successful. And he'll say that I successfully set up an Eliud Owalo Foundation tournament, putting the top teams in the Kenya Basketball Federation. I remember I even saw the interview, I made a video talking about the interview, saying that it was all hot air that Eliud Owalo was talking about, even giving scholarships. How can you give somebody scholarships and they're playing for the top teams? If you didn't know, like, the Thunder played well, if you didn't know KPA played the way they play, even Ulinzi, they play the way they play, who are you going to give scholarships there to? Because the scholarship comes to somebody who needs it. But players in the Thunder, KPA, Ulinzi, Equity Dumas don't need any scholarships from nobody, because they're good. So it was a lot of there's a lot of things that get swept under the rug, and people do not understand what happens. Because after that tournament, like post-tournament, basketball has reverted back to where it was. We are seeing KBF struggle with paying for venues. You'll see the fixtures thing go ahead and hurt them a lot. And even with the amendments of what they want to give in public participation in the AGM, and not in the AGM, but in the KBF constitution, it won't help anything because Eliud Owalo is the Minister of ICT. Even I mentioned it in the video saying that if he really, really wanted to assist, okay, the tournament is good, but how is he helping this? How is he guiding the federation on how to operate? Is he there just to propel his own ego, or is he here to help set up basketball for the future? Because an ICT cabinet secretary should understand that they should use technology to automate systems, talk about the fixtures, fix fixtures, create a system that can help KBF do auditing, hold these people to account. The KBF, the officials have been under siege and they have been taken to court multiple times at the Sports Dispute Tribunal. All of that was swept under the rug just for this tournament. And after he did this tournament and left, he was already left with what he came and he spent what he needed to spend and he left. I'm very grateful for the tournament because we're able to see like a couple of matchups that we wouldn't have been able to see them and you had to wait for the playoffs. But all I'm just saying is KBF has not changed. Kenyan basketball has not changed because of that tournament. And the 3-day tournament only happened for only one weekend. All that money only spent for one weekend. The playoffs are going to span for over like a few, like 4 or 5 weekends. And a lot of things need fixing. And, it's just going to be the same thing every single year. You're going to see players play for nothing again. There's no prize money coming from KBF because they don't have any revenue generating schemes. The Nyayo Stadium is falling apart. We're yet to see the team that's going to come out and represent to the BL, but you're seeing the Thunder are just knocking on that door. So there's a lot of things that have not changed yet. And not fault to him, but the standard that he put us up, then we keep going up, we go down, up, then down again. And it's just going to be very difficult to be able for Kenyan basketball to be able to recover. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So do drop me your comments in the comment section. I just wanted to come out and vent and talk about this because I just had it in mind. And I just said, let me just create a video just talking about it. And I'm going to see you guys in the next. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. And if you're a Kenyan and you like the content, also I've put an M-Pesa number there. Just send some tea there. And also if you are outside Kenya, within the continent, or listening from outside the continent, please be sure to use the link or the PayPal link to send something from wherever you are. So, yeah, man. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.